Bone and clothing fragments found in a renewed search for Madeleine McCann have reportedly been sent in for testing. Investigators last week spent 3 days combing over search areas in Portugal. Publicly, police have remained tight-lipped. However, German media claim that fragments were found in an area known as Bruckner's Rat Run, named after the chief suspect, Christian Bruckner.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science. It really does seem as if some elements of the British media, keen to turn this story into an even more bloated cash cow, decided to add a little twist to the story by slyly reporting animal bone fragments as merely bone fragments. In other words, misleadingly implying that they could be something else. But surely they could be, couldn't they? Well, have a look at this article from the Mirror dated June 11th. And it's basically a response to these rumors, allegations of human bones. No samples of any kind have been sent back to Germany following the Madeleine McCann searches last week, Portuguese investigators have said. That sounds pretty categorical, doesn't it? Now we have a Portuguese source that has set the record straight. Thank you, sir. Indicating that the rusted relics, the firearms, are also almost certainly irrelevant. And secondly, what we have been saying all along, no evidence was found, and what was found isn't actionable evidence. Before we get to the rest of this analysis, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do consider hitting the thanks button. I don't really do live streams, and I would appreciate it. And let's get started. One can see from miles away, again, especially if you know the area, what a rotten location this would be for a criminal lair. Because it lies slap bang in the middle of a tourist highway, a hiking trail linking Luz to Lagos. Look at this excerpt from the Daily Mail. Connecting Praia de Luz with the nearby town of Lagos, the track is a popular hiking route for tourists. But 4 days last week it was cordoned off for members of Germany's equivalent of the FBI. Why on earth would you come here for some private time? To do some covert criminal activity, and why on earth would you bury a body in an area frequented by the public? Why dispose of a body here? I've been saying it over and over and over again. When there are far more remote, better hiding places nearby, especially if you have the use of a vehicle, and by vehicle I don't mean a yacht or an aircraft, I mean the thing we usually refer to when we say vehicle, a car.
There was trouble with him in the early days, back in the 70s. Thank you, George. Jennifer Mack is standing by at the White House now.
I say it here, it comes out there.
Also, have a look at this half-assed timeline from The Sun. Weird, isn't it? This is the Madeleine McCann case seen through the prism of the Bruckner saga, and suddenly you have to delete the sightings near the Ocean Club, the dog alerts, half the legal milestones associated with this case, anything the lead detective said, and instead jump 9 years into the future to a milestone where someone found disturbing images on Bruckner's computer, as if that makes someone guilty of murder and abduction. It really does seem as if there are some very cynical, immoral, opportunistic British media out there who are trying to play us for fools, doesn't it? Don't you sometimes get that impression?
You gotta admit, I played this stinking city like a harp from hell. You gotta admit, I played this. I didn't say that.
Are they succeeding at playing us? And should they succeed? Or are we onto them? Are enough of us onto them? Someone accused me in a recent video of clickbait. Wow, man. The entire Bruckner nonsense, this entire thing is mainstream media clickbait. And then you accuse me of clickbait. Can you not see that? Look at this from the Mirror. Again, it's setting the record straight a day after you had multiple publications misleading the public. No samples of any kind have been sent back to Germany. according to Portuguese investigators. Portuguese sources insisted today that reports about German police taking back fragments of bone were misplaced, and said analysis of material unearthed is being done in Portugal. How did that happen? Were those reports misplaced by accident or by design? Was it mischief or misbehavior? Portuguese sources also reacted to claims 2 guns had been found by confirming objects had been discovered but predicting they would prove unrelated to the Madeleine inquiry. One is already at the center of a separate investigation after being dismissed as irrelevant. And yet, despite the Portuguese cops setting the record straight, I will bet you the mainstream media has netted a whole school of believers who they will simply continue milking and leading by the nose with a false carrot. In some ways, we have become a society that lies to itself. Do you see that? But which is worse, the fool or the fool who follows him? This is why we must learn how to think critically, because there are charlatans and snake oilsmen and sneaky, slithery profiteers benefiting from your attention at your own expense. But they can only do this with the weak-minded and with your permission. I love in this article how it's made explicit that the German cops have all gone home. Literally, no one has stuck around to observe the crucial bombshell bullshit evidence the media have been waving their pom-poms at. Look at this. The forensic analysis of fragments believed to be animal bones and another tiny piece of adult clothing has been booked in at a Portuguese police scientific laboratory in Lisbon, and the results will be sent back to the German prosecutors. The results of those tests. The tests will be done in Portugal. The results will be sent back to German prosecutors. And this is according, again, to the insistence from Portuguese investigators. The well-placed Portuguese insider said German forensic officers had been offered the opportunity of being present at these tests, forensic tests, and then they say it's unclear if they even accepted the invite. So how much confidence do you think they really have in their own evidence? And that's why we have to be stronger than that. Remember, if human beings can do this to human beings, manipulate and lie to them and mislead them, and if we can't recognize it, and if we aren't alert to this possibility, what hope do we have of recognizing our being duped by AI, or worse, human beings recruiting AI only to better deceive us?
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
Hence, we need to sharpen our wits. We need to get into the habit of thinking critically and thinking for ourselves. If you know this channel, you know that is what we're all about. That's also what my books are all about. In any event, I'm not going to take it further than that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.